The Democrats are blackmailing us. It's like, oh, if you don't vote for Biden, Trump will come. So what have Biden done to us?
As a significant voice in the Arab American community, you're telling me
yes,
you want Joe Biden to lose.
I want him to lose. I don't care about Trump winning, but I want Joe Biden to win because this guy, he's one of we ask for him is ceasefire. Stop the killing. Stop the killing. How difficult is this? I'm not going to be blackmailed into saying that I'm going to enable Trump to win. The Democrats did that to themselves.
Now, you might think that what Egyptian-American comedian Bassem Youssef just said was wrong or irresponsible given the threat that Trump poses to the country and to Muslims. But many Arab Americans are actually feeling the exact same way he is, including a Trump supporter that a TYT reporter, Michael Shore, spoke to and interviewed in Michigan during a Trump rally. Now, this is from a few weeks ago, but I think what this individual had to say was important to listen to, not because you are likely gonna agree with him, but to understand the argument by Muslim Americans or Arab Americans who might decide to not cast a ballot for the general election at all, or might even switch over to Donald Trump. Let's listen.
I'm from Yemen originally. I was born in America, but I'm from Yemen. This is how we dress back then. We a lot of the Arabs actually used to support the Democratic Party until all the weird shit's been going on.
So he references weird stuff. Like what weird stuff is going on, you might ask? Well, he explains in this next clip.
Biden's dead, he can't walk, he can't talk. So really, if it was anybody against Biden, I'd vote for them anyway, but I'm a big Donald Trump supporter. He's a great man, he's a gangster. So any of the other countries know, if Trump's in office, they're not acting up. With Biden, he's sleeping. You know, I don't think anyone's really scared of him. Obama and Biden bombed Yemen very heavily, but because Obama said mashallah, he said an Arabic word, people supported him and thought he was with us. He really wasn't. He was bombing, he drone bombed Yemen more than any other president.
So he's specifically referencing Biden's foreign policy. He's talking about how Biden's been bombing Yemen during this war in Gaza. And what I found really interesting was how Donald Trump seems to be paying close attention to some of this rhetoric, because during his speech following the Supreme Court's ruling to allow him on primary ballots in states that try to disqualify him, he referenced the bombing in Yemen.
People coming from all parts of the Middle East. They're coming from Yemen, and yet you are bombing Yemen. You have to stop, you have to close the border. You have absolute authorization. You don't need Congress. I had the safest border in the history of our country.
We might have millions of people watching this show, but you can be the difference maker, because we just need 1% of our audience to be paid members, and then this show can be around forever. So you can make that difference. Click join now.
So Cenk, as we know, Donald Trump was not friendly to Muslims in his term. One of the first things that he did was attempt to ban Muslims from coming into the United States. That caused a huge controversy and multiple court battles. But I think it's also important to understand the perspective of that Yemeni American who sees Biden's foreign policy and kind of takes a step back and says, really, you think that Biden's a lot better than Trump on the treatment of Muslims or the treatment of Arabs?
Yeah, so first let's tackle the Muslim American perspective, and then I'll get to his general perspective in a second. So both for Bassem Youssef and the Trump supporter there, they're like, well, okay, so let's get this right. Obama did more drone strikes in Muslim countries than any president did, but I'm supposed to really like him. Okay, yes, maybe you like him, but I'm from Yemen and he did massive drone strikes in Yemen. And then, and by the way, the US government allowed Saudi Arabia to pulverize Yemen. And so, because we wanted oil deals with Saudi Arabia. So then Biden gets into office and then he lets the Israelis pulverize Gaza. So tell me why I have to support Biden. Because it helps you? Who does it help? It helps his donors, and maybe you think that it helps you, right? You liked one of the bills that he passed, or you don't like Trump. He's like, yes, but a lot of Arab Americans are saying, yes, but he killed my family members. So you're gonna kill my aunt and uncle and tell me I have to vote for you? I have to vote for you. I don't think you're getting it. And the reason why there's a disconnect is because in DC and in establishment Democrats and establishment media, there is this line of thought that the voters must vote for Democrats. And if they don't and the Democrats lose, it's the voters' fault.
And no matter what Democrats serve up, that's the part that really gets to me, right?
Yeah.
Because it's, hey, don't you dare bring up all of the different reasons why you are unhappy with the candidate or why you're unhappy with the Democratic policies. Doesn't matter, none of that matters. Orange man bad, very dangerous for the country. You absolutely must accept whatever we serve up in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And look, most people don't operate that way.
Yeah, and they don't think that it is the responsibility of Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden or any of these guys to earn the votes.
Right.
They think, no, they're entitled to the votes. And how dare you oppose them by not voting for them when they're on our side? But whose side, brother? Whose side? If you live in Washington, D.C., yes, Biden is very much on your side. But if you're that guy, he's not on your side. Why? Look, I'm sorry, but if you live in D.C., are you thick? You have problems understanding? You kill someone's family member, they're not gonna vote for you. Is that complicated? Do I have to really emphasize that point of view? And I do, because they're like, it's his fault that Biden is losing. No, it's Biden's fault that Biden is losing. Such simple concepts. And they just can't grasp it, because it's an enormous sense of entitlement. I'm entitled to your vote and your vote and your vote, even if I never do anything for you. Even if I kill your family, I'm still entitled to your vote.
Look, the selling point for Biden, especially in 2020, when he claimed that he was only gonna run for that one term and be a transitional president, was that he is the decent human being in the race, right?
Yeah,
I'm the decent one. And yeah, you might hate policies that he championed in his long political career, including the bankruptcy bill, the crime bill. I mean, the list goes on and on. But the whole point was, when you put him up against Donald Trump, you compare the two, go with the person who seems to be a decent human being, right? Comparatively speaking. Well, that argument falls apart when you see the bloodshed among civilians in Gaza. It's really hard to stomach that and still make the same argument that Biden is just a significantly more decent person than Donald Trump is.
Yeah, look, if you live in Washington, prepare to be outraged. I don't think Joe Biden's a decent person at all.
I can't accept anyone who argues that he is. How do you see those? Look, like I've said on the show before, like the hardest thing about talking about that story, about what's happening in Gaza, is the insult to injury, the reactions that you get from people after you've seen the faces of those malnourished children, after you see parents weeping over the dead bodies of their children. Like, how do you take in those images and then after that provide cover for the president who insists on providing military aid and support to the government and the military carrying out those acts? How do you still support that guy? How do you do it?
So, I mean, Biden sees those same pictures. He has access to intelligence we don't even have access to. He sees all of this death, destruction, all those babies murdered, killed, and he goes, let's send them 14 billion more.
And then with a straight face, his supporters argue he's the good guy. He's the good guy.
He's not. So that's
not to say that Trump is the good guy, but to argue that Biden is this angel and Donald Trump is a demon.
Yeah.
He's indecent, he's awful, but Biden, what an angel. No, it's frustrating to hear that kind of framing when we see with our own two eyes what's happening right now.
So that's the second thing that's super frustrating, that people in Washington think in binary terms. I guess they're very slow, so us populists have to talk to them like they're children. Just because you think Joe Biden is a monster doesn't mean you think that Donald Trump is an angel. They could both be monsters. And there's such, you know why they create this binary world? Because they're not doing actual news, they're not being honest with you, they're doing propaganda. So that's why right-wing media will tell you that Trump's an angel and Biden's a devil, and mainstream media will tell you that Joe Biden is a sweet, empathetic man and Donald Trump is the devil, right? Everything is binary because they're not doing truth, they're doing propaganda. So now, last things here, back to this guy. He made an interesting point. So Trump is terrible on Muslim issues, arguably worse than Joe Biden. He tried to create a war in the Middle East several times, killing the top Iranian general, moving our embassy in Israel, etc. He wanted to ban all Muslims from the country. It doesn't get any worse than that in terms of Donald Trump. But the guy from Yemen, or his family is originally from Yemen, that Michael was talking to, he said in another part of that interview, which you should check out, by the way, youtube.com/theyoungturks. He said, the thing about Trump though is he could be bought. Like he really likes the Saudis because the Saudis pay him off.
We actually have that clip. It's a short one. Why don't we watch that real quick?
Yeah.
He does say some crazy things, and for me, it doesn't bother me. Sometimes it's funny, but a lot of people, words matter to them. To me, it's your policy and what you're doing. You can say, I hate all you Muslims, this and that, whatever, and then you don't do the bad things. Then to me, it doesn't matter. You're just talking. You just want a certain crowd to vote for you. That's cool. It's all part of the game.
So you're not bothered when he says that he wants a ban on Muslims in this country?
No, because I don't think he actually believes that. He's very cool with the Saudis and the people in Abu Dhabi and stuff like that, and he's done a lot of business with them. So I think that's for a lot of his fan base that want that, because it sounds crazy. You can't ban a religion,
No, I know, but I mean, you're aligning yourself with that fan base that do want that seriously do want that. So you're voting for,
Well, there's always going to be different types of voters. So those people, no matter what he does, okay, let's say Trump did something really bad and bombed my country and was my home country, and was if he was actually doing stuff that I didn't like, I wouldn't want to vote for him.
So he's not like a hardcore MAGA guy, clearly. He could be dissuaded from supporting Donald Trump, which I thought was interesting as well.
Yeah, although, quick point here. I've now begun to see some hardcore MAGA guys, potentially including him, saying, yeah, I'm MAGA, I'm not necessarily just pro-Trump. And that's a distinction that I had never seen before. So that gives me a little bit of hope that the cult is cracking a little bit.
And also one point of clarification that's incredibly important. Remember, during Trump's term, there was a bipartisan resolution to pull US military support toward Saudi Arabia in its bombing of Yemen, and Donald Trump came in and vetoed it.
Yeah, so Donald Trump, I don't want anybody to mistake what we're saying.
Yeah.
Michael's right in that line of questioning. He associates with people who despise Muslims and wants to get their vote, and he caters to them, etc. And it doesn't appease me much that he's also corrupt and bought off by the Saudis. That doesn't appease me at all. And I think that Trump is just about as bad as it gets, not just generally, but specifically on this issue. And he also bought off by Sheldon Adelson in the last couple of elections. He's begging Miriam Adelson to get bribed by her to serve Israel's interests. Jared Kushner, seemed to be working both the Israelis and the Saudis, depending on who he's getting paid by, etc. So, look, it's a Hobson's choice. These are two terrible choices. Our point isn't that Trump is better on this issue. Our point is stop yelling at Arab and Muslim American voters
and
actually do something for them.
Yeah.
And the bar is so low. Like, could you please not fund a genocide? And if you can't clear that bar, then don't think that you're entitled to anyone's vote.